I think the pace of the world has never changed, because जैसा आपका हार्ट का पेस नहीं बदलता है, वैसे दुनिया का और इंसान का पेस नहीं बदलता है. It's just the pace of consumerism that changes, But the human being, I think, is as receptive to deep thoughts as it always was, you know what I mean? So you cannot blame the world and create poor art. Art has to have the pace of the heart. So art is always going to be time-taking and intense, and if it's got to be far-reaching.
Can you share your experience of working with Rekha ji on this film?
I think working with Rekha was like working with a dream, because she was dreaming at the same time as I was dreaming. And before I could think of something, she would already be on it and she'll be with it, And she got into the character beyond my expectations. Obviously, I had a very clear idea of what the character was and what were the nuances of that character and the, what shall I say, the cultural ethos of the character. So all that was there, but she lived it, She became that person.
What, in your view, made her portrayal of Umrao so unforgettable?
I think that was the main challenge, to become Umrao, to understand the pain of Umrao, to understand the art of Umrao, to understand the phenomena of being a woman of that time in that century, So that was something that came easy to.
How did you see the relevance of classic storytelling in contemporary cinema?
I think you have to internalize the story. You have to, for a moment, forget it's for cinema. You have to tell yourself the story. You have to feel the story. You have to feel the tactile and the tangible and the intangible dimensions of the story. You have to feel the light and the shade of the story, the seasons of the story, and then you'll find it automatically becoming a kind of a story which is meant for cinema, you know what I mean? So the cinema emerges out of the fact how much your senses have internalized the story elements. I think it's coming from the people. There was a building up of the whole urge to see the film, because it was not given to OTT. So there was this legend of the film going around, and from one generation to another generation. So the film was really coming into life on its own accord. It had its own energy. It had its own power to become real and be born again.
How do you hope today's generation will take away from this timeless classic? What do you hope, Sir?
I have big hopes, but I think this is a one-to-one film. People have to see the film as their film. They can see it on their phone, they can see it on their television, and collective seeing also will, I think, be there. But that collective seeing will come from it's what they've heard about it, So they want to see it for themselves, So that is going to be the first impetus for the collective seeing. And then I think the intensity of the individual seeing is going to grow.
How did the coffee table book come into being, and what can the fans and audiences expect from it? Will it be a deep dive into the journey of the film?
I think it's going to be a milestone, because I think in films these kind of books have often not been possible because of lack of continuity of keeping record and things like that. So here we had the opportunity of my own record, my Kamath photo flash, there finding the archives becoming valuable, and even grabbing the the frames from the restoration process. That was a big thing because you don't get an opportunity to grab from the restoration process. So that was a very big, because there you get the right moment, you know what I mean? The cinematic moment, which the high point of a cinematic sequence, So I think that, and then different people writing different aspects about the film, the time of the film, the different dimensions of the film. So I think it's a collector's book, it's a student's book, it's a lover's book. So it's got a lot of dimensions and it's a visual treat.
The philosophy of House of Kotwara is about a woman owning her narrative and telling her own story. When you reflect back, how do you connect it to Umrao Jaan?
I think Umrao Jaan is a story which is told by textiles, and those textiles you don't buy from shops. They appear in trunks, they appear in cupboards, and they have a legacy. You know what I mean? It's got a legacy of families. It's got the legacy of a place, a culture, character. So and then it's the eye of the artist. I mean, as a painter, I could see different hues in the clothes as elements of telling a story, and conveying feelings. So that is something that House of Kotwara is just identity, you know what I mean? House of Kotwara is also empowerment of women through craft, so which is again born out of the legacy of doing such films,